I'm Elaine Watson with Ag Funder News, and I'm joined here today by Dr. Elliot Chang, who is co-founder and CTO at Eion.
So Eion is a first of its kind carbon dioxide removal company. We apply special silicate minerals in acidic agricultural lands to actually capture atmospheric CO2, again, from the air, using an accelerated process of basically inorganic carbon. So not organic carbon, but in fact, inorganic carbon that transfers from the air into the Earth's subsurface permanently and irreversibly.
Okay, so then what happens? How does the business model work?
Absolutely. So Eion basically sells some of our physical product called Carbon Lock to farmers, and this physical product actually improves soil health. It improves the soil pH, which enhances the productivity of crops, while also allowing us to capture carbon dioxide. So not only are we providing benefits to crops and farmers, but also we are actually, as we sequester carbon dioxide, able to sell that as credits on registries and various platforms.
Okay, so you're the one making the money from the carbon rather than the farmers from the carbon credits?
Yes, so Eion has the eyes to see that the carbon is captured using our patent.
Yeah.
And so Eion is taking credit for the carbon that is generated and as we provide the rock to the farmer at a cost. But essentially, we are allowing the farmer to take all the co-benefits, including crop yield and soil health benefits for themselves, while Eion is associated mostly with the carbon credits that we generate.
Okay, great. So just how this compares to other things that people have been doing for years, for example, spreading ag lime on farmland. How is this different or better for the farmer?
So while the chemistry is fundamentally different, ag lime is calcium carbonate, whereas our rocks are actually silicates. They don't actually contain the carbon, and so fundamentally the chemistry is different.
Yeah.
However, we acknowledge that ag lime is readily available and used on acres present day with existing infrastructure. So Eion actually tries to mimic and provide a substitute to ag lime by mimicking the essentially the dissolution rates of ag lime. So our silicates act like ag lime, but add the benefit of carbon removal.
Okay, so you've made the case to me. Tell me about your progress in, making this case into the wider marketplace. What progress have you made to date?
Absolutely. So we have a variety of field trials in progress, over 10 field trials in the Midwest and Southeast that are, the results are coming in, and we're seeing real tangible results like soil pH improvements, which again provide benefits for crop and crop yield. And we're also measuring the alkalinity fluxes, so the permanent carbon that is removed. We're actually able to measure and verify this process is actually happening. And so this is a major distinction from a lot of our other, let's say, competitors and colleagues, is Eion has a patent around how to actually have the eyes to see, or using trace high valence elements, how to actually see that this process happens.
Okay, so finally, can you talk a bit about some of the challenges that you faced trying to get your business off the ground over the last couple of years?
Absolutely. So as a distinction for Eion, having the eyes to see this approach, 2 years ago, when I came up with this idea of verification, it was actually not accepted. There were questions around it, its efficacy, and if it was actually going to be able to measure the carbon. However, after 2 years, we're 2 years fast forward, and we reached Series A. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has granted us this patent.
Okay.
And so we actually know that this process does work in terms of verification. And so even though it was a major challenge in the beginning, we see that being on the bleeding edge has been rewarding, as we are essentially first to market to show using a direct measurement approach of the soil that carbon dioxide can actually be captured.
In the presentations earlier from the Ag Funder team, we talked about some of the hype and excitement about regenerative ag and soil carbon markets, and how there's not necessarily standardization when it comes to measurement and so on. How important is getting that kind of sorted out for your business model going forward? I mean, what if some of this, these carbon credits end up being worthless?
It's absolutely critical.
Yeah.
It's a great point. And so one of my major roles as CTO is to actually engage with a variety of, let's say, validation verification bodies, VVBs, that actually will check our science, will check the artifacts that we leave behind to actually not only audit, but to show that this is actually happening. And so by my interactions and enabling Eion's technology to be on a lot of these registries and platforms, we are trying to we're on the bleeding edge again, but trying to set a standard so that moving forward, permanent forms of carbon removal in the form of alkalinity fluxes can actually not only be quantified, but also sold and traded on carbon markets.